Hi everyone, this is a tutorial for question creators for StemCo. So first you have to log in using your login and password on the StemCo.tech website. Okay, let's go inside. To create a question, you go to the competition menu, question. All right, so you'll see this menu. Okay, next, you click on the plus icon here. All right. So this is the main window, the main menu. Here we have a few things to fill out. So let's go over them one by one. So first is title. Title is the name of the question. It what makes question memorable and stand out. So it's your creation. Name it as you like. This is basically what the question is about. Something catchy, something memorable. All right. Let's say I want to make a question about funny animals. Next is the body of the question. So this is where you provide information, all the key information. This is where you provide context if you have context, right? You create a scenario, you explain why this is important or what is the question about. Then you can put an image or video. We highly encourage you to use some visual elements. So image is a safe bet. If it's about funny animals, use an image that reinforces these ideas, that helps to load the information, to introduce the information to the student in the most efficient manner, something that will prime their brain towards this information. I already did a Google search. I found some really funny images. Yeah, I'm not going to use this one. Let's use this one. All right. Okay, so I like this. I copy it. I can paste this here. So the image appears too big, so you can resize it. We allow images maximum of 500 pixels. So anything above 500, for example, this wouldn't pass. So just make sure that it's under 500. Okay. And finally, you must have some question statement with a question mark. So this has to be a proper statement starting with like when, which, how, what option, which option, what is, or how many, etc. So it has to have a question with a question mark. Don't ask questions that are just like determine or find or like, just like a sentence without a question mark. That doesn't work in StemCo because that may confuse the student. It's not clear what you really need to do. Plus visually, if you're a student, you kind of like quickly want to identify the question. So to do that, we first make sure that this is a proper question, and also we put it at the end. So this should be the last thing in your question. So the question mark is the very last thing in your body. Okay. Next, we need to create 4 answer options. Always tick the first one as a correct. So the green one is the correct answer option, and the first one is always the correct answer option. The reason we do it is to keep it simple so that you don't get confused or make a mistake yourself. Don't worry about the system. The system always randomizes and shuffles answer options for the students. So they will always see these in random order. So this will be our answer. This will be option. These are the options basically. Okay. You can also do all sorts of editing here, like standard stuff. It's up to you how you want to present it. You can also put images here, right? Yeah, this is the standard. For images, I'll just add that you can upload images from your computer if you have to, and also all the previous images that you have uploaded will be visible here. Okay, we're done with the question. Oh, wait, 1 second. We have also the solution. So basically, the solution is where you lay out the logic. So you do a step-by-step solution, right? You just write them down. There are 2 purposes for solution. One is to help student understand how the question can be solved. So you explain the solution to the student. And the second purpose is for yourself to detect any mistakes. Sometimes it happens, you create a question, then you start trying to solve it, and then you realize, oh, actually, I'm missing an information, or actually this question can be solved in multiple ways. So this answer is not always correct. Maybe the answer option 2 is also correct. But those are the things that make this question bad, and it can help you to fix it accordingly on time, so you can make some changes. All right. So we're done with the body of the question. So now let's look at the categories. Let's look at the parameters. So first is the age. In StemCo we have 4 age categories, starting from primary 1 until all the way until grade 12. So primary junior is grades 1, 2, and 3. Primary senior is 4, 5, and 6. Secondary junior is 7, 8, 9, and secondary senior is 10, 11, 12. Okay, so let's say this is a secondary junior question, and let's say this is biology, right? In terms of complexity, this has to do with how difficult the question is. So the rough guideline is like this. Level 1 is easy, something that you can see in school, or something that is easy enough at the school level. Level 2 is like pure StemCo. This is like where you have something slightly more difficult than school, but not yet like full Olympiad difficulty. So this is like somewhere in between. And level 3 is where this would be like hardcore Olympiad, highly like very difficult content, definitely beyond the school level. So this is rough. This is approximate. It's up to you how you put it. If you're not sure, just put it in the middle. Let's say I'm not sure. I think it's about average. So I put there 2. Okay, seasons. Always select the last one. This is the active season that we are in. So just choose the last one. All right. Code. You can leave it empty. This is optional. It's up to you if you wanna, code somehow, like make this referable by yourself. But this is a legacy feature and will not be supported in the future, so you just skip it. Okay. The concept is the most important one. So this is where you have to tell the system what is this question about. This is also something that is very important for StemCo. This is how we know what the question is about without opening it. All right. So here you can just think, all right, so the question is about funny animals, but this is context. This is what it is about contextually. But in terms of biology, the question could be about, let's say, evolution, right? Maybe about some of the features, something. So that's a biological concept. This is pure biology. So then I'll type in evolution. Let's say I already have some options. So you choose the one that is most appropriate. Let's say this one, right? If you think that the concepts that already exist don't quite explain your concept, then maybe you want to write a new concept. Say I write something up and I click enter. So this will create a new concept for you. So you can tag it this way as well. You can have up to 3 concepts maximum, no more than 3. But if you're not sure, just make sure, just have 1. So 1 is minimum, 3 is maximum. And we encourage you to just start with 1 and just keep questions simple. Just talk about, just test one thing. Okay. And that's it. You save the question. All right, successful created. So if there's anything missing, it will let you know that you cannot save because you're missing some information. So here we have all the information, it's saved. Great. And after you save, now we can send it for review. So you'll see the status here, it's draft. Draft means like it's just for you. You can see it, you can edit it, you can come back to it, you can change it and save it again. But if you really want to submit it for StemCo to get feedback, to get it approved, you have to send it for review. So you click here. It will ask, are you sure? Say yes, right? So now the question is sent, and now you have a status review. Awesome. So now let's talk about the criteria. So your question will be reviewed within a couple of days maximum. We try to shorten the time. We try to make it as quick as possible to review questions. So you'll get a notification to your email. Please check your spam box from time to time because that's where you may receive an email from us saying, oh, your question is approved or rejected, and here's the reason why. And the criteria here, let's talk about them. This is basically the things that your question is evaluated against. This is what your question must have. So we have 5 criteria. 3 of them are compulsory and the other 2 are optional. So let's go over them one by one. So first concept. Concept is this. It's the heart of the question. It's about what the question is really about in terms of the subject. This is the most important thing here. So what we're looking at is, is this question about evolution? Is this question about this concept? Or is it mismatched? Is there some dissonance there? Is there some mismatch? So it's just checking for that. If that's okay, you'll get a tick. Second one is logic. Logic, like already mentioned, it has to do with the solution and answer options and the question statement. So it's really about the structure of the question. It's what's inside of it. Does it make logical sense? Can it be solved logically? Can it be solved unambiguously in one way? Or is there multiple interpretations which make other options also viable? If that is the case, then that's a bad question. So that means the logic is violated and there is no straight logic in this question. There has to be one logical solution. That's the criteria. If a knowledgeable student in the subject can unambiguously arrive at the right answer with one logic, then that's it. You'll get a tick. Next one is presentation. Presentation has to do with, first of all, language. It's grammar, it's spelling. Just make sure there are no mistakes in the grammar and spelling. And the questions are accepted only in English. That's our main language. Also images, like if image is too big, you won't get a tick there and you'll get a rejected status. They'll ask you to fix it. Also about the language, how concise it is. Don't use too long of sentences. It depends on the age. For primary students, we try to go with simple sentences, simple tenses. So present simple, past simple, future simple. So the language that primary students can understand. And as you go up to secondary level, you can then use more complex statements, more complex structures. But generally, just be mindful of the language in primary. Okay, so that's all on the presentation. So this is core. Once you have these three, you can have a nice question. It will be accepted. Now, the number 4 is context. Context is optional, but highly encouraged. What makes StemCo questions is context. Like normally you wouldn't have this picture, you wouldn't have some information about funny animals in a normal Olympiad, and that's because there's no context. It's just a theoretical question. They could ask you something about evolution, but they wouldn't really give you an example, or they wouldn't tell you about real animals. So you can put context in the form of real scenarios that happened. You can create scenarios, you can make them up, they can be fictional. It can be some trivia information, some encyclopedic knowledge. It can be something from the movies, games, anime, or any popular culture elements that you yourself maybe enjoy or have seen or have noticed. Or it can even be a photo that you take from when you're walking outside and you saw something interesting, you can just take a photo. But basically, context is something that has to do with the world around us. And the magic is when you're able to take this concept and tie it together with the concept and context, and you can tie them together into one whole thing. And that's what's difficult. So the only requirement here is that whatever you come up with, it makes sense within the concept. They tie together. If they're completely irrelevant and it feels very artificial and made up and there's no connection whatsoever, it will just look bad and it will make the whole question worse. Then you are just better off just having these three and removing context altogether. So then you can just remove all of this. So you'll be asked to remove all of this. Okay. Creativity is a bonus point. It's rarely given. It's given when your question is really unique and something fresh that we have not seen before. If we receive a question that's really unique and interesting, you get an extra point. So then all of these criteria are counted up and they add up to the pointing system. That is still under development, but basically right now you are scored out of 100 points. And in the future, basically your work will be evaluated. The quality of your work is evaluated based on these points. So, okay, that's it for the question creation. Now let's move to the next menu. So once you go to competition questions, you'll see this table. And inside of this table, you can see only your questions, and there are many ways to sort the questions. So you can sort questions by age category. You can sort questions by subjects. So once you choose the age, you can choose the subjects. You can also sort them by season, like spring, fall, winter, 2023, etc. And you can also sort by status. So here we have a question under draft. Here we have questions under review. So I just sent this question. Yeah. Yeah, I have two because this is my second recording, but basically, yeah, it's the same idea. So once the question is approved, it will go either to rejected or approved basket. So you can then see them here. And practice is when your question has already been used in a competition, then you will see questions here. These are the questions I made some long time ago. All right, so now let's have a look at the other people's questions. So to get some ideas, to get inspiration, or to just see what kind of questions are typically used in StemCo, you can go to the practice menu on the left. You can see all the questions that we have in our platform sorted by subject and age category, and sorted by difficulty. So let's look at chemistry, because I'm a chemist and I'm most comfortable with chemistry. So you can go sort them by difficulty, right? Okay, so let's say we want to look at chemistry questions. Okay, so here you'll see the most important information is the title that you can click on. Then you have concepts tagged, so you can see the concepts of each question. You can see how many % of students got this question correctly. So this gives you an idea of how hard this question is, difficulty, and how many students have solved it before. So let's look at, let's say, this question here, production of iodized salt. So if you read the question is really about like balancing equations, right? So this question would be about stoichiometry, balancing equations. Right now, we put it all under the same concept of chemical calculations, but in the future, it will be distinguished. Once we have enough questions in this category, it will be just about balancing. So I would tag this as balancing if it was me, but basically it's up to you. But the idea is that the question is about balancing. It's about putting the right coefficients in front of the chemical formulas in a reaction. Now, that's the concept, but the context is about iodine. So iodine and how it's important in human diets, etc. So we can also see its solid form. So it's basically giving some information to student about the real use of iodine in real life and why it's important. But then they're talking about how you don't just consume iodine, but you actually like eat it in the form of salts. So they're present in the mineral forms as salts, for example, potassium iodide and potassium iodate, etc. But basically, the beauty of this question is that even though it's about chemical equation balancing, it actually organically and like very naturally connects this concept to real life, and it talks about iodine. So iodine chemistry would be the context, and the chemical equation balancing would be the concept. So this is how it works. So this is a very solid question for StemCo. You can see the solution here, and you can see the answers here. All right. Let's have a look at the next one. All right, so this is about evidence of crime scenes. All right, okay. There was an unknown substance, awesome. Oh, all right, so this is about qualitative analysis, right? You can see here. So basically we have an unknown substance and we're trying to identify its identity based on some of its chemical properties. So the concept is qualitative analysis. The context is forensic science. It's about evidence at crime scenes and how we can use tests, and there are many standardized tests, how you can identify substances, lots of different equipment and tests that people use. in laboratories, right? So that makes chemistry live, that makes chemistry more interesting, and that makes this quality of analysis topic a lot more applied and, and interesting. So this is what we mean by context. Right, awesome. There's an answer, and we can see what this substance most likely is. All right. So that's a very good introduction to StemCo and how to make questions and what StemCo is really about. Thank you so much.